Hi everyone, Layla here, and today I am trying my hand at realism-ish art. Yeah. So basically, I've been thinking about how my latest piece would look if I made her to look more realistic. And I wouldn't say realism is new to me. In fact, I kind of feel like my own style is an odd mashup between anime and realistic features, like how I draw actual noses and things. But it's been a bit since I've done an actual realistic kind of style. I used to paint my original character, Devena, a few years back in a realistic kind of way, seen here. And much more recently, I painted a piece of a very good friend of mine, but these aren't really my main style. And I feel it's good to work on this sort of realistic style every once in a while. So this picture is my Sky avatar from the Sky game that I've been playing recently, and I figured it would be a good piece to turn into a realistic style. So I start out with my iconic gray background, and it's just easy on the eyes as I really can't stand bright white as a background. And then I start sketching pretty loosely on a different layer, and you'll notice that I do different colors for different sections just to sort of help separate different areas, and it makes deleting and reworking areas really quick and easy because my main focus here is to make sure I have a general idea, so I don't want to dedicate too much time working and reworking. So when I finish with sketching, I merge all my layers together and then change the color to a solid black sketch. And then I just start blocking in my colors. And if you've seen my digital art videos before, you'll notice I always start with the face. It's just my go-to thing. And once I have a pretty good foundation of some lights and darks in her face, then I go to the sketch layer and change the color of the lines that define her face to sort of match with the skin tone color of her face. My biggest inspo for this video was Lavendertowne. She's an amazing cartoon artist here on YouTube, and she released a video of her showing how she does this realism challenge, and I got really intrigued and just wanted to try this challenge out myself. And she does hers in the beginning in a black and white to get good values, and I did think about that, but I didn't want to go that route because authentically speaking, it's not me. Could my work turn out better if I did do it that way? Quite possibly, but when I do realism, I don't do it in that way, and I wanted to stay true to how I do paint it in order to show an accurate presentation on how I actually do go about this style. And I also try to work in such a way where I want to be happy and have as much fun as possible, and working in grayscale is just so unfun. And I'm absolutely aware of how childish that sounds, but that's not to say I never have worked in grayscale, but really my whole method when it comes to painting is just really weird in general, and basically my workflow is very sectioned, I guess would be the best word for it. So in this piece, you'll see me completely painting her face and neck from beginning to end in one go, and you may be wondering why? Why am I not doing her hair and clothing all at the same time? And that's just because I feel wired to work the way that I do. I start the face because it's what I want to paint the most, but I can't just paint it halfway and move on. I have this urge to finish the face completely, and once it's finished, then I can do the hair and then the clothing and so on. When I first started the hair, you'll see I'm making it pink, which is actually different from the anime style picture, and that's mostly because I now do my Sky Kids hair in a light pinkish color because I'm not a real fan of the white, but in the end, I actually end up changing it back to its original whitish blue color, which you'll see me do a bit later. But this is actually my second attempt at her hair that you're seeing, and thank goodness, because my first attempt was an absolute mess. I guess it's just been a long time since I've painted realistic hair that it was just really coming out stringy, which led to it looking shaggy, and I'm gonna be honest with you all, I was really gonna leave it looking straight up ridiculous because I was kind of getting lazy, but I guess some supernatural force was like, nah sis, you need to fix that. And I kid you not, my entire computer froze and I ended up losing all that footage of me painting her hair. And when that happens, it's so absolutely devastating. I didn't lose like the progress of the art piece itself because thankfully my program saves automatically where you can recover lost works, but without the footage, I wouldn't have been able to show you all the process of her hair. And I did consider just like letting you know, hey, footage was lost for the hair, so RIP, I guess. But I mean, I'd also like to think I'm not that lazy and unprofessional. So I centered myself and told myself that the hair looks crappy anyways, and I repainted it. After that, I moved on to her hair wraps, and for a moment, I thought about changing these hair wraps to earrings, and I don't know why. I feel like the idea of changing little things here and there was something that really stood out in my mind while I worked on this piece, but in the end, I decided to stick with how the anime style was, because I felt like by changing the hair color to pink and then changing the hair wraps to earrings, it just felt like there was too much changing going on, and I wanted it to feel realistic in the end. I didn't want it to feel unrecognizable from my anime style. So I kept everything else as it was, and as I kept going, I certainly did feel that laziness again towards the end. And let me explain why. So going back to my original point of wanting to do the fun parts first, that method definitely has drawbacks. And I'm just constantly in this tug of war type battle where I'm fighting with myself on changing up my method and building the entire piece up as one whole piece. But then the other side of me is just like, well, I also want to be happy and I want to have fun working on the parts that I genuinely want to work on. And it's a lot. Does any other artist suffer with this? Because I fully recognize that this is a problem, but I also hope I'm not alone. So when I give into that part of me that works on my favorite parts first, then in the end, I'm left with the parts that I don't want to work on, and I instantly have to turn into this like cheerleader type of person and start motivating myself to finish. So I think that's why her clothing ended up not looking as realistic as I would have wanted, and I went just with a more sketchy kind of look, I feel, but at the same time, at that moment, I felt justified because I kept telling myself, well, it's not like you're going for hyper realism. But yeah. So that's where I was at mentally. This challenge overall, though, felt like a really good break from the usual workflow. And I really enjoyed that. Most of all, though, it just feels kind of good to be able to paint something up like this. Probably because I feel anime artists get such a bad rap for not understanding anatomy as well as we should. And I do admit that the wave of anime influence has probably put a damper on my own potential when it comes to drawing realistic people and features. But at the same time, I truly believe I really wouldn't be an artist today if it weren't for anime. Which is funny because when people saw me drawing as a kid, they'd always say, oh, you're on your way to becoming a Disney animator. And while I loved Disney then and love Disney now, it never really filled me with the inspiration to draw the way that, say, Sailor Moon did. And that's not to say Sailor Moon animation was in any way better than Disney's Renaissance age movies. God, no. But I feel like people scoff way too much at anime when it's responsible for such a large number of young artists today who probably wouldn't have picked up a pencil otherwise. And like in high school, my art teacher probably would have loved this piece. Instead, I showed her my anime skills then, and it was kind of like a complete shutdown from her. And I just wish art teachers then, I don't know if they're any different now, but I wish she had seen that style as a potential to further my skills and better them in a realism type of way. But anyway, I don't want to get too off topic. I'm nowhere near where I want to be when it comes to my realism style. I have so much to work on. Just from looking at this piece now, I feel I could have made her eyes smaller and more realistic, and I guess the lighting could have been better and more thought out, and my shadows and values could have been stronger. But the thing about art is accepting where you are right now and knowing that, tomorrow you'll learn more. And I plan to do this challenge again next year, and I really hope to see a big difference. And I'm also really curious on what your thoughts are on the whole anime isn't art debate, so feel free to let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, maybe comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks everyone. Bye!